Great. And now for the second part of our briefing, we have as our guest today, Corinne Fleischer, the Regional Director for the Middle East, North Africa, and Eastern Europe at the World Food Programme. And she'll be talking primarily about her visit to Ukraine. Ms. Fleischer, welcome.
Thank you very much. Where do I have to press? No,
no, you're set.
Yes, and I will also speak about our operation in Gaza, and I've heard you have covered this extensively already. But let me just start. I mean, the people in the Middle East have not had a break since, over 12, 13 years, with the Arab Spring, protracted refugee crisis, near economic collapse of some of the countries. And then Ukraine, which had a profound impact and still has on food inflation in the Middle East. And now we have Gaza. And all these had a profound impact on people's ability to put food on the table. Today, in what WFP calls the Middle East, Northern Africa, and Eastern Europe region, the countries that we cover there, close to 50 million people are food insecure. This is double from before the Arab Spring, and now WFP has to feed 6 times more people than before the Arab Spring. And now, of course, on top of this, we're bracing for a regional war, and this has to stop because families really can't cope. So I'd like to start with Gaza because I spent a week in Gaza end of July, where I witnessed at that time the people fleeing and following the evacuation orders. Now the 2 million people crammed in what is 11% of already a very densely populated strip. And when you're there, I mean, it's just there is simply no empty space left in Gaza. The beach, when we're at the beach, it's full of makeshift camp, one after the other, up to the shore, wait for, the waves to come in the winter. The road is full of people. And then the UNRWA shelters, are crammed. The one I was in, you could hardly even walk through, 13,000 people in there. 60 to 70 people live in a classroom that usually holds 20 to 30 people. So despite all the challenges you also just talked about, every month WFP reaches over 1 million people in Gaza and also in the West Bank with food assistance, with bread and with nutrition interventions. But beyond that, we use every emergency dollar that we invest in this operation to also help restore, where possible, private sector supply chains. So we do that through the support to bakeries. Bakeries actually have started operating again in Gaza because of the support we provide them. Wheat flour, fuel, also yeast where needed. And we keep the retail shops open because we channel our in-kind assistance. Right now we can't do really cash assistance. We channel our in-kind assistance to the shops that we were working with before. So they keep their people paid and keep the shops open. So then when the markets are back on, they are there. But humanitarian operations have become ever more difficult to carry out. When I was there, it took us 8 hours to reach from Deir el-Balach to the northern crossing, what normally takes 40 minutes. We face endless hours to receive a green light to move. Then we spend hours at waiting points, at holding points, at checkpoints. Roads are destroyed. People are on the road, as I said. We had two flat tires when we were on that trip. And now the winter is coming, and it's becoming even more difficult. Roads will become impassable. So in the last month since I left, we've seen more evacuation orders and the massive deterioration of the security environment for humanitarian staff. So WFP lost access to its 3rd warehouse and last operational warehouse in Gaza, in the middle area, under evacuation order. We lost 5 WFP-supported community kitchen that had to be evacuated, and we lost close to 20 distribution points across the strip. So while we do manage to bring in food, more or less, not enough, but we can't distribute it right now. So we're reaching less people. We reached less people last month than what we usually do. And also, the evacuation orders affected our own staff. They had to evacuate our main operational center with just a few hours' notice for the third time since the war began. So this increased incidents of violence that you were talking about before against humanitarian workers are choking our efforts to prevent famine in Gaza. When 500,000 people are in catastrophic and famine-like conditions. So what we are saying, we need more crossing points. And we need streamlined operations so we don't spend the day in cars but can actually do our work. We need law and order restored in Gaza so that we can travel and have our trucks safely reach the people. And we also need cash to come back to Gaza so that people can start and buying again in the shops. Going to Ukraine, I was there 2 weeks ago, and the situation is also dramatic. I was in Sumy Oblast. I met with people there whose houses were destroyed, and you can feel their exhaustion after so many displacements. I met a man of 65 years old. I asked him for his story. He told me he just left with the pants he has on, carrying them